Okay, I think we're ready to go here. So how do we clean all that belt goo off of this mechanism? Well, we've got our cotton swabs here. We've got a shop towel from the last time I did any car work. And we're going to use this stuff, isopropyl alcohol. We are going to take our dental pick here and we are going to scrape as much of this belt goo off as possible and smear it on the shop towel. This is where it gets really, really messy. Yeah, that belt is done. It's not even coming off that pulley anymore. Just coming off in chunks. Look at this. That's why I wanted to put the gloves on. Just pure goo at this point. And the other thing we're going to do, this is old grease here. We're going to take that off and we're going to put new grease on. But that is something for future self to worry about. Current self has to worry about all this belt goo. Ooey gooey, look at that. This happens to all belts like this. They eventually turn back into the petroleum products they used to be once upon a time. And the reason our head block didn't move initially is because it depends on this belt to move. And if the belt's not there, it's not going to move. This stuff is nasty, let me tell you. Real nasty. I'm already getting my gloves all nice and sticky. That clicking I'm not too worried about. We're not really damaging anything, I don't think. Oh, this belt is terrible. It's every bit as bad as the one that was in the RCA. They just don't get much worse than this. But we're getting there. And hopefully we're not damaging any wires in the process, because I don't want to deal with those little wires. Just about got it all off this pulley now. And all I can hope is that these Chinese belts I bought last as long as the original, because I just do not want to do this very often. Don't get me wrong, cassette decks are fun and mostly easy most of the time, but on these fancy 3-head decks that have advanced features, they can be a pain. I've got a Carver TD 1700 in the other room. It's also a 3-head deck, but non-auto reverse. It's the best deck in the house, but it was a nightmare to service in many ways. And yet this one, I'd have to say, is worse, just because of that flippy head auto reverse mechanism. Now that's about as clean as I can get with the dental pick. Let's try and get the goo off this pulley now as best we can. There we go. First little bit. So did I go looking for a Hitachi DX10 to do this video with? Well, yes I did. And I actually found one, believe it or not. There's a Japanese auction service called Joust.com, which lets you take advantage of auctions only local to Japan. And the last time I checked, they did have a DX10 that was going for relatively low money. But when you deal with Joust, as we'll go over in a future video, it can get really expensive to bring something over from there. Okay, now we gotta deal with this little mess in here. Little bits of belt everywhere. Now keep this in mind. The belt area on this pulley is this area behind the front section. Where you see this belt wrapped around, that's where your new belt is going to ride. So keep that in mind. Now this is always the fun part. It's getting the goo off this pulley. But that was actually not too bad this time. Okay, now we got to go at it with the rubbing alcohol until all of this is immaculate. So, cotton swab number 1. We'll just do this one first because it's convenient. And also really easy. There you go. Now, the other side of the swab. Nasty, nasty, nasty. That's one swab dead. Time for another one. Starting to get a lot better already, but expect to run through a few of these. Boy, am I glad I got these gloves. I apologize if this is a longer video, but I don't really know too many ways of making it much shorter. That's 2 swabs down. Don't worry, I got 3 boxes of 500, so swabs for days. You know what? I'm just going to shut you guys off till I got all this dealt with here. I'm killing battery on the phone here. Back in a bit. Okay, we're back. I've been fighting with this for a little bit, and it occurred to me that I should be working smarter, not harder. I could be real easily cleaning up those capstan pulleys by just removing them. So that's what we're going to do. I want to point out right here, you see these little tiny washers around the capstans? Let me pull this up here so you can see. There are these little tiny washers back there. What those do is they seal in oil. So make sure you don't lose them when you do this procedure I'm about to show you. because you need to put those back in. And we're going to re-oil this assembly because I'm doing this. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take these oil seals off. Maybe, if we can get them off. They will come. And we're going to just set them aside there. And with those off, now we can remove those capstans and their pulleys. Just trying to be gentle. She already wants to go back together, it looks like, but we are not done yet, so that's not going to happen just yet. Just tilt her up like that, and now we can take these pulleys off, like so. And I want you to be very careful here too, because there are oil seals on the inside now too. You have to be careful of them as well. Don't lose these. Actually, it looks like this one has multiple seals back there. Actually, one's a seal and one's a bearing, it looks like. A bearing and a spring. And we're going to clean these out before we re-oil them. But these are the capstans and their pulleys. So now we can really easily clean them up. Or at least easier than I have been. I've been using the shop towels because the cotton swabs aren't really doing it for this part. So we're going to scrub this real good. Get it nice and clean. And I will show you the stuff I use to lubricate the capstans in just a little while. And that is looking much, much cleaner. Now we were going to clean off the capstan too. I don't know if you can see it real well, but the part that contacted the tape path, that's real dirty. So we're going to clean that real good as well. Get all the old oil off. Need some more rubbing alcohol. Much better. Set that one aside. And I have yet to even start working on this one, so it's pretty nasty. Now on this one, mind this gear. I don't know that you need to be too careful with it. Just remember it's there and which side it goes on. I think I'm going to need a new shop towel in just a second. This must be a fairly high hours deck because that is giving me some trouble getting clean here. Trying to remember to do this all on camera for you, but it's not that easy. Okay, let's get all that goo off this pulley. I'll use the old shop towel as much as I can here, just to get the worst of it off. It's really on there. And this video is taking a little bit longer than I thought it would, but that's okay. I had nothing else going on today anyway. We had some thunderstorms come through here in the middle of the night on Saturday, which I went out and shot, but because it was so short notice, I was not able to get out there with the Z50 and do any filming. I just had to get out and shoot and come back, and that's about all I had time for. Okay, brand new shop towel. Trying not to get all this belt goo on my gimbal, but it's kind of difficult. Lots of nice rubbing alcohol. Okay, we're back at it. You always want to get these as clean as you can possibly get them. If there's still some residual blackness, don't worry about it too much, but just do your best. You don't want any of this goo getting on your new belt at all. That's already looking 1,000 times better, I have to say. Oh yeah, nice and clean now. Now what we're also going to do is we're going to get inside the center here and clean off all that old grease that was down in there. I got a little bit more residue to get off here. Yeah, when I did this on the RCA, I just did it with the Q-tips, so it took for frickin' ever. I should have done it this way on that machine too, but I didn't. It took forever, and that's okay because it works now. I just hope I can get this one working just as well as that one is, because it would be really nice to have a Hitachi built 3-head deck here in my collection. Okay, still got to get the grease off this pulley. And we'll get the grease off this side of it too. Now, anything else I'm missing? Yeah, I still got to get a little bit of goo off the motor pulley. We're getting there. Don't worry. Talking more to myself than any of you guys. Okay, that's just about as clean as it's gonna get, I think. Some more goo off the motor here. And there we go. We're ready to re-lube the pulleys. Alright, I gotta get the... Oh, there's a couple of little spring seals on there. Alright. Now we are going to clean these two bearings. And these are brass, so be very, very gentle with them. What I'm going to use is this stuff, cotton twine. Because these are brass, they scratch easy, and you don't want that, so try to use something soft, like, say, cotton twine. If I can get my packaging open here. These gloves make everything a little tricky. But you know what? I think I can take the gloves off now because we got the messy part over with. And I will be back with you shortly because I got to throw some stuff away here. Okay, back. Now what we're going to do is just drop the twine into the alcohol like so. And we're just going to run it through these bearings. We're just going to sort of do some flossing here. If we can get it to go through the bearings. Well, I got it started and then this thing fell over. Lovely. Okay, that's not working. Don't really want to poke anything else through there to help it get started. But I may have to do just that. Yeah. Be right back. I'm going to go get a toothpick. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. This is getting a little dry already, so I'm going to make it wet again. Like so. Then we'll see if we can get this to go through. I don't think my toothpick idea is working out as well as I'd like it to. Well guys, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go ahead and do this off camera. Okay, we're back and we are ready to start at least trying to put things back together. That was real tough. Anyway, I'll show you the oil we're going to put in there. That's this stuff. Some decks you have to be real picky about the oil you put in, but this one, not so much. Doesn't take much, just a couple of drops. And that should do it. Now we will attempt to put our seals back in place. If I can pick them up here. This is always fun. Don't know if I can pan down far enough to show you the struggle I'm having with this little guy. Ah, there, I got it. Drop that down on there. Take our couple of little springs here. Put them down on top. And we'll just put our capstan back in. And be careful. Once you get it in, clean this part of the capstan off afterwards. You do not want any oil on there, because that's where the tape goes. And let's see here, down she goes. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. And down she goes. Nice and free moving now. We'll put this back in place temporarily. That should do for now. We'll put the oil seals on the front. And try to get them seated again. Doesn't really matter which side goes on first. They're both the same type of seal. And this is the other fun part. Hopefully I can get this all done before the phone runs out of power. It's not helpful. There we go. We got her on. And we'll get a little Q-tip in place behind there and just fully seat it, like so. And we will lose the oil keeper somewhere in the mechanism. It's just lovely. Where did that little guy go? I will be right back again. This is fun. We are having fun. Okay, I got all that dealt with. So now it's time to find a belt as best we can here. Just open up my little package of wonders here. This is nothing special, just a generic package of belts I got off eBay. And we'll see if we can find one that'll fit. These are all nice wide flat belts, so there should be something in here that will work. Now in order to do this, I'll just reach across here, get my mini screwdriver set out, take 2 mini screwdrivers, and where is it now? My tape measure, and we're going to find an 8.5 belt. That one is too short. That one might do it. Let's just have a look here. So we're at about 4 1/16. Let's see, 8.5 would be, actually that's about right. 4.25 would be the right one, so this should work. So I'm going to show you how to route this belt, if I can. Well, this is a dual capstan system. It is not the type that's used over in my Carver deck back there. The capstans rotate in different directions in this. And the way to do that is to run the belt like so. Now there's a little keeper pin. See if I can show it to you right there. That's used to hold the belt on while you put this mechanism back in place. At least that's the idea. So I'm going to take my mini screwdriver and just stretch it on over there. Like so. Now, we'll flip this over gently. See, and you can see in there, I hope. I don't know if you can see it actually. There you go, some more light. You can see where that belt is being held right now. And we're just gonna go ahead and put these screws back in place that hold all this together. Oh wait, we forgot something. We forgot to lube up the backs of the capstan pulleys. We must do that first. And what I'm going to use for that is this stuff, Lubriplate number 105. I love this stuff. It works really well for this kind of thing. So we're going to take a cotton swab, get a little bit of grease on there, and we're just going to throw it on in there. On each one. I've already cleaned all this stuff up, so no need to do that now. I'm just going to put some up here as well. I'm probably being a little too generous with this, but that should not hurt anything. And that should be it for that. Now we can put it back together. theoretically. And remember what I said about putting these solenoid pins back where they belong. You gotta make sure you do that. Got that one in. And the other one, try to get in here and do it, yes. There we go. They're both back in place. Oh, this one popped out yet. There we go. Now we got her. All right, we are ready to reassemble, theoretically. All right, I'm just going to put 2 screws in for now, just in case we have to pop this back off for any reason. And now the fun part. We got to get that belt over the motor pulley. And I'm going to do that with my handy dandy dental pick. And I just want to make it obvious that I've cleaned it off. It doesn't have any of that belt glue on it anymore. Oh wait, it's still got a little bit. Just clean it off a little bit more. I have to say, once these Hitachi decks are working as intended, they have excellent sound quality, which is probably why Sansui decided to subcontract to them for this particular deck. Even the RCA version I've got over yonder is amazing. Okay, now we're ready. This might actually be the wrong dental pick for this task. Back in a second. Okay, let's give this one a go. This isn't really the one I was trying to find, but it should work. And that's just lovely. When the belt disappears way back inside the unit after you're trying to put it on. This is fun. By fun, I mean not very much fun. Ooh, we don't want to do that because don't want to poke holes in the new belt, do we? Guys, I'm going to do this one off camera too. Well, folks, I did it. That belt is on there. And hopefully it tracks properly. We shall see. It looks like it is, so we should be good to go now. All right, we are done. Now what you should really do while you've got it apart this far is clean the cap stands as well. Or not the cap stands, the pinch rollers. But I'm not going to do that right now. And what you use for pinch rollers, you don't have to, but I strongly recommend it, is Windex or other type of glass cleaner. You don't want to use anything too terribly harsh on these. And look what we have here. The head block is engaged. Just from spinning that. So I might need to get that to release before I put it back together. Anyway, I will figure out how to do that. I will reassemble the deck off camera and then we'll come back and test. Back in a little while. Well, folks, the moment of truth is here at last. I forgot to put a screw in somewhere, and I've got the erase heads still disconnected, but at least for now we should be ready to go here. So we are about to see if my repair worked. I've got her plugged in and ready to go. So how's about we just power it up and see what happens. Keep your eye on that belt. We want to see what it does. And look at that. She's tracking properly. She didn't jump to the front of the pulley like the RCA does. It made a little clicky sound just to tell us it's up and ready to go. Now the only thing left to do is to try and play a tape, and I better hook this thing up. So we can do that. Right over here is my Panasonic RX DS20. I bought that new back in 1990 for 350 bucks. And it's going to be the subject of a future video because it's got some tape issues itself. But right now all we need to do is use it for testing out this Sansui. So we're going to just go ahead and do that. I'm going to set you down here and hook her up. Power on. So we should all be ready to go. Now you'll note that there's a play symbol in the display here. And don't be alarmed. My RCA does that same thing too. It just indicates which direction it's ready to play in. So what we're going to do first and look at that. Head block is moving perfectly. She is ready to go. And I heard a buzzing sound in the audio, which may or may not be capacitors. Actually, it probably is capacitors. But we'll worry about that another time. So I've got this tape made up here. This was done on the carver in the other room. So whether or not this works to record on is irrelevant to me because I won't be using it for that. At least I don't have any plans on it. Which is probably good because it was a real fight to get these erase head wires back in place. So, are we ready to go? Yes, we are. I'm going to turn on Dolby B noise reduction. Make sure it's at normal. Load up our tape. And let's see what we get. There's some definite noise in the audio. You can just see it just going crazy there. And listen to that. It's working. I made sure to make up a nice tape of nice free music that I don't have to pay for. I'm not sure I'm crazy about it, but it'll do for now. Let me turn off my light here and then we'll see if that little light in the display in the cassette well works. And it looks like it does. So yeah, except for some buzzing and crackling in the audio, it works. Let's see if it reverses. Yes, it does. Fast forward. Rewind. Here, let me see if I can get you settled a little better here. There we go. Now we can check out some of these other functions here. That seems to be working. Dolby C engages. Let's see if the peak hold works. And it certainly appears to. Now reverse mode. That changes over properly. Recording, we'll try that another time because I've got the erase heads disconnected yet. Anyway, yeah, she seems to be fine. Pause works. This we won't be able to check out until we can get her recording again. So I'm going to call that a success for today. Well, we'll come back in another video, and then we'll get into the electronics side of it, and we'll try and figure out which capacitors are bad and which need to be replaced. Now, you certainly could just do a blanket recap, and everything would be working fine then. But it's not totally necessary, I find, in a lot of these. These old Hitachi electronics almost always have bad capacitors just about everywhere. But I usually don't bother with recapping the entire thing. In this case, just like the RCA, there's a buzzing noise when it plays back, which means this area right around here probably needs a full recap, or at least a partial recap. I'm not sure if I'll bother trying to diagnose each capacitor to see which ones are bad and which are not, but we'll see. I will probably change out all of the power supply capacitors. It's not as critical to do that on this deck as it is the RCA, because the RCA is in standby all the time, but we're here, we might as well get it done. Now, when will I get to doing this, you ask? I have no idea, actually. When I make a capacitor order, I like to do it for multiple units and multiple projects at one time, just so I can maximize my value for shipping. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I have a bunch of other projects to get to. There's this guy, of course. There's another boom box. Actually three boom boxes I've got to do. I've got a big console stereo from the 60s to do. An open reel tape deck from the 70s to do. So yeah, there's lots to keep me busy around here this winter. But for now, I'm happy. We got this thing going again with a brand new belt, and it should be good to go for years and years and years, depending how long the new belt lasts. So I guess that's going to be it for today. I'm going to get these wires all sorted, get everything soldered back together, and then we'll see you in the next video. So y'all aren't going to believe this, but I got her all buttoned up here. The erase heads are back in circuit. And I got that missing screw put back in, which happened to be the one right in there for that shield. And guess what? No extra noise. She is dead silent, except for what she's supposed to be playing. Folks, it looks like I got her 100% now. Gotta love it. See you next video.